my right corner, and please come down and have a seat down here, and we can help with that. So if you need that, please come down. Otherwise, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Toberman.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's it going? Rock and roll. We're very excited to have you here. I'm Dr. Toberman. I'm the principal here at Collinsville High School, and welcome to, I guess, the first official high school event for the class of 2028. Give yourself a round of applause for that. Now, we don't want to look past 8th grade because there's the majority of the year left. So enjoy that while you still have it. However, remember that on the back end, you got something really exciting. So I know many of you probably have older students that you've been through this before. But for those of you who have not, and this is, your oldest student is in 8th grade, think about this for a second. You're going to have a high school student in less than 300 days. If that's scary or exciting or both or all of them, that's good. But we can't wait for them to be here. We're going to take good care of them. Tonight's going to be really informative and fun. We got a lot of cool things going on out in the lobby and the auxiliary gym. Before we get started, though, there's a lot of people to thank for putting this together. But our counseling staff here at the Collinsville High School, this is mostly because of them. We got Ms. Olson, who you just heard from. We've got Mrs. Kurtz down here, Ms. Seahack, Mr. Corey right over here, and I'm getting ready to turn over to Ms. Biebel, who's going to proceed with what's next. So, Ms. Biebel.
All right. Lower it just a little bit because I'm just a tad shorter than him. So good evening, everybody. Like you said, I'm Mrs. Biebel. I have students that are I through N, and we're going to take you through everybody else here in a moment. First of all, like we said, we're very happy to see you here. This is a very exciting time for us. We get to meet all of our new students, and we are looking forward to working with you guys also as well. Let's see. So some things about us. We are the high school of champions. We have such great opportunities for our students. In fact, our class last year, our senior class, raised over $5.1 million in scholarships. That is an amazing total, and I feel like every year it gets bigger and bigger. So we fully expect you guys to reach that and go above it. We have many Southwestern Conference sports champions in our midst. We have IHSA regional champions, sectional champions, state trophy winners, all-state musicians, all-state athletes, and all-state academic teams. So you can see just a few of our teams up here. We've had a couple of our teams go into playoffs here recently. They've done a great job. We're super proud of all of them. And we can't wait for you to continue that tradition. Some of our administration, you've met Dr. Toberman. He's hanging out over here. Say hi. Well, you can give us a new one sometime. I think it's great. And then we also have Mr. Joe McGinnis. He's over here as well. He is our Collinsville Area Vocational Director. So he is the person that you're going to be talking to when we get to that point about doing our CAVC classes. Another great opportunity for our students. Following with that, we have Mr. Clay Smith. He's our Athletic Director. I don't think he's here tonight. We have Dr. Yuji. She's one of our new assistant principals. She has students A through D. We have Miss Ruth Smith. She has students E through K. Mr. Wright's here. Say hi. He has students L through Q. Mr. Brian Dunn is, I thought I saw him earlier. He might have snuck. He has students E through K. Miss Fisher has our P through Z students. And going into our counselors, we have Miss Seahack. She's hanging out over here. She has students A through DA. Mrs. Kurtz is down here. She has students DE through H. Again, I have I through N. Pretty easy to remember. I'm in it to win it. We have Miss Olson, like we spoke about earlier. She has our students O through R. Mr. Corey has our S through Z students, and some of you may recognize Mr. Lugie as our IEP coordinator. So I'm going to also talk to you a little bit about our graduation requirements, because that's important to know. What exactly does my student need to do to graduate on time and to move on to further in their lives? Our graduation requirements on the left over there are a little bit different from if you are planning on going to college. So if you're just looking to graduate high school, awesome, go into different vocational units. We require 4 years of English, 3 years of math, and one of those has to be geometry. 2 years of science, 2.5 years of social studies, 1.5 years of PE, half a year of health, so a semester of health, a semester of a consumer career education class, a quarter of computer applications, and at least a year of an art, music, world language, or a vocational class. If you're considering going into college, we recommend that you do a little bit extra work. So that usually looks like 4 years of English, 3 to 4 years of math. We usually say 4 just to be safe. 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, and then 2 years of a fine arts or world language. So it's important to understand what your schools you're interested into are requiring with that world language, because some are fine with 2 years, some don't require it, some want you to have at least 3. So it's important to kind of get that rolling ahead of time to figure out what they require. And then up next, we have Mr. Corey to kind of break it down a little bit more.
So what I'm going to talk about is credits. So at the middle school, your grades ran out for the entire school year. At the high school, we work on a semester system, so you earn half a credit per semester per class. So you'll see that every class gets a half credit with the exception of driver's ed and computer applications. Those classes are only 9 weeks long. That's why they are only a quarter credit per. We're going to go into more detail on all of these classes. That's kind of the breakdown. As long as you pass all of your classes, you'll end with 6. You need 21 credits to graduate from Collinsville High School. So the biggest question we get is, what classes should I take? So with the front of your registration sheet, it talks about all the classes. We're going to break down each subject area. We're going to talk about all the electives and all that. As far as English and math, if you go to Collinsville Middle, what we are going to use is your STAR scores. So kind of give you a heads up, you're going to be taking those throughout the school year. Very soon, I think you're taking another one. So try your very best on that one, because we are going to use that for class placement for English and math. 8th grade science teachers will make science recommendations. And also consider study habits. We're going to go into detail as far as what pre-AP is, honors, all of that. Get ready for homework. You will have homework in all of your classes, especially math. And we encourage you to take the most challenging courses for you. So again, we're going to go into great details about all the classes, just kind of an overview. As far as planning out your 4-year plan, we have a lot of tools to do that. As far as our middle school students, you have access to Naviance. You'll continue to have that same access at the high school. We have the Collinsville Area Vocational Center for all of our vocational programs. In our course offering guide, we have some on the table. I know a lot of people grab them. There's a 4-year planner in there. It also talks about as far as what classes you could take which years. So kind of deciding what classes you'll take throughout high school. As far as understanding what classes you're picking, so on the back of that sheet, we're going to talk about all those elective classes. In that course offering guide, every single class is listed with a description of the class. They're broken down by department as far as business, English, math, science, social studies. Those descriptions are wrote by the instructors, so it's a great description of the class. So I encourage you, if you have no idea what something is, I get a lot of questions of what is crafts or what is art. Look at the descriptions. Those are true, accurate trails of what those classes are. So definitely read those before circling them, just so you make sure you're picking the right classes for you. As far as filling out the sheet, a couple things that we need, very important, is your name at the top. It is last name, first name, middle initial. Please print your name so that we can read them. We will input all of these classes manually ourselves, so it's easier to find them. Also, top right-hand corner, we need to circle your t-shirt size. Every freshman student will get a t-shirt, so we try to make sure that we order the right number of sizes that we need. And also, you'll pick your classes. So the last slide for me is a sheet that is completed. We mailed you out an example. You're going to circle your English class, math class, science. You'll pick your PE. Consumer ed, careers is circled for you. So is careers, driver's ed. We're going to go into detail about what those, and as far as that goes, you'll sign it, and then we'll have the students sign it as well. So here's Ms. Olson to go into detail.
All right, so as you look at your registration worksheet, you're going to see some different things next to the math, English, and science classes with the word honors. And some of you may have older students or have friends that have older students, and they maybe are in AP classes. And so I'm going to kind of explain what those are. They are basically the hardest classes that we have here as far as rigor. And so if your student gets placed into that, just know that those classes basically require a lot of independent work. Some of them require summer homework. They go into the subject in more detail and more depth, so they have a lot more out-of-class work expectations and a lot more self-motivated study versus classes that depend more on the in-classroom instruction. And basically the AP, so basically you'll take like honors classes your freshman and sophomore year, and then they turn into junior and senior year, they turn into AP classes, which the AP means that you are eligible to take an exam at the end of each class, and if you get a 3 or better, you can earn college credit for whatever the exam is for. So that's kind of a little bit more about what you're looking at when you look at your registration sheet or when you look at the course guide. And actually, I'm going to add something onto the course guide that Mr. Corey was talking about. If you look at the back of the course guide, and because I forgot to put this on the slideshow, but in the packet, you'll see career plans. And they're just recommendations for different career clusters. And so if your child is wanting a certain career or a career area, it kind of gives you some advice on what to do for the next 4 years, as opposed to like just giving you an idea or options. But moving on with my slide. This is our grading system for the high school. We have this is the weighted scale. So every level of class, so an AP or an honors class or a dual credit class is at a 5-point scale. So you have an A is worth a 5.0, a B is a 4, C 3, D is a 1, and then F is a 0. There's a couple enriched classes which are in the middle, and then the regular classes like PE or consumer ed, driver's ed, things like that. Well, that's not really figured into the GPA, but they are weighted at a regular grade point average. So that's at a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. So each letter grade has a point value assigned to it, and then that is how GPA is calculated. Basically, is they'll add up the points for each class and then divide by 6 or 12, depending on when that GPA is calculated. So we're going to basically work our way down the worksheet to kind of talk about the different classes that your student could or may not be in. So the first selection is English, and basically all freshmen have the choice between 2 English classes. They both write research papers. They both are college preparatory. So as far as that goes, do not worry about that. But the difference is the honors class goes a lot faster. They read more books. They do more writing samples and writing essays. There's just more of English. They focus more on grammar and things like that, and they're on track to prepare students to be in either AP English for their 11th grade or 12th grade. Math, there are 3 different choices, and again, English and math are also going to be placed via the STAR assessment, which they'll be taking here, like Mr. Corey said, in a couple weeks or about a month. And so if you have any questions about placement, you can talk to these different teachers. We'll be happy to talk to you also, but the best conversation would be with the 8th grade teachers. As far as math choices go, you have Intro to Algebra. This is for students that really have struggled with math and they find it extremely challenging, where they don't have the skills they need to be successful in regular Algebra 1. Then there's regular Algebra 1, which is balancing equations, things like that. And it's a year-long class. It's an hour long. And the goal is that they would basically be in Algebra 1 and then geometry and Algebra 2, and we'll talk about that in a second. The third option is for students that are already in Algebra 1 as a middle school student, and they are being very successful, which means A or a very high B. And then they have, again, the STAR score to move them into this honors geometry class, because what happens is, and I don't think you guys can really see this that well, but you need 3 years, like Ms. Beeble was saying, you need 3 years of math to graduate high school. And students, we have seen some students take honors geometry as freshmen, and then that means that they're taking Algebra 2 as sophomores, and then they're having to take pre-calculus as juniors to meet that graduation requirement, and they've struggled all the way, or they've gotten a bad grade in pre-calc, or they failed something. And so really, when you're kind of thinking about math placement, you want your student to be have a solid foundation in whatever level they're taking, so that way they can get not just the 1 year that they're in, but you have to think about where they're going to end up their junior year to make sure that they can pass all 3 years that they need to graduate. So that was what I've explained as the honors track. The regular track is Algebra 1, Geometry, and then Algebra 2. And then if you're in Intro to Algebra, if you start there, you're in Intro Algebra, Algebra 1, and then Geometry, and that would complete your 3rd year of math as well. So that's definitely something to consider when you're thinking about math placement. The last class that I'm going to kind of talk about is science, and there are 3 options there, and your teachers will be sending us the recommendations through Skyward. So there is no need to get a signature from your teacher or anything like that. They will be putting those recommendations directly into Skyward for us, and there's 3 options for that as well. There's physical science, which is the most general science. You learn about energy and matter and just general science concepts. It's of non-living things. And then there's biology and honors biology. And those basically, they cover living things, cells, animal kingdoms, things like that. But honors biology goes more in depth. It is definitely more self-driven, and you will have to do a lot of work outside of class. They expect a lot out of that with the extra readings and things like that, and so just be aware of that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over to Ms. Sehak.
Just gonna lower this a little bit. Thank you. Okay. So moving on with physical education, everybody has to take PE to graduate. We have your traditional PE class, which is you're playing basketball, volleyball, walking, running, those types of things. But we also have different options such as aerobic fitness. You're doing more aerobic exercises, you're doing Zumba, P90X, those kinds of things. There's also wellness fitness, which you're doing yoga classes, Pilates, and they even have meditation on Fridays, which is really cool. We also count marching band as PE. So if you're interested in doing marching band, just know that you must commit to summer and after school practices, football games and weekends, and band competitions. We also have other required courses that you have to take as freshmen. Consumer education is one of those classes, and within that class, you're learning about being a good consumer, money management, taxes, and careers. You're working with Naviance, which is something that you're going to be learning about when you get here, which is career planning. It's a really great course. Again, it is a graduation requirement that all freshmen must take. We also have a computer applications class and a driver's ed class that is also required to graduate computer applications. They are 9-week courses, and within those 9 weeks, they're put together. So you do computer applications for 9 weeks and driver's ed for 9 weeks. Things to know about driver's ed is it's not actually you driving, it's just learning about the traffic laws, and you're placed into driver's ed based on your birthday, so the oldest students take the class first. With computer applications, it's just familiarizing students with Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. You also, freshman students, they get to select their elective choice. They have different departments that they can choose from, such as fine arts, band and choir, business, family and consumer science, and world language, and also the industrial tech classes. On the back of your yellow sheet, it has all of those courses that freshmen can take labeled out, and it's also on page 5 of your course guide. So you circle that one class that you're interested in, and we also have alternative electives, so your second, third, fourth choice. So sometimes those classes, they either get canceled or they fill up pretty fast. So what we have is we have students circle 5 classes and number them 1 through 5, your first, second choice, etc. And then you rank them. So say Spanish is your for top choice, you put that one as number 1, and then so on and so forth. This is just an example of how you fill out this sheet. And with that sheet, you do not have to pick one class from each section. If you really wanted to, you could pick 5 from the fine arts section. Those are just some important things to notice when you are filling out your sheet. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kurtz.
Maybe even lower. All right. So we also do have a summer school program. So there are a few classes that incoming freshmen can take to get ahead on their credits. And then there's also students can take summer school for credit recovery. So if they don't pass a class during the school year, they can make it up over the summer up to 1 credit in just 22 days and a half a credit if they come half a day. Our summer school registration forms will be available mid-February. We are also fortunate to have an upward bound program at our high school. So these are selective programs for students interested in going to college that are from low income or first generation college families. And then your next steps to register, first you're going to want to make sure that you circle all your course requests on the front and the back of the registration worksheet. In addition to the course descriptions and our course catalog, we also have videos produced by the different departments on their electives. And you can even watch a tour of CHS on our website. If you have individual questions about certain classes, you can email the teachers on the department contact sheet. This information was mailed to you with your registration form, but you can also find it at khawks.org. And then we also have all of the clubs and activities listed on the website as well. And then you'll just want to make sure that you turn in your completed registration forms either at the middle school main office, or you can turn it in tonight out there, or anytime during before December 1st in our counseling office. So December 1st will be the deadline for the registration sheets. And then we want to also invite you this Saturday. We will have our open house from 8 to noon, and then again from 1 to 3. It's first come, first serve with meetings. You can meet with your counselor individually, get all your questions answered, and then we also have student-led tours. So thank you so much for coming.
All right, so we have tonight, besides, we'll have, the counselors will be out at a table, kind of where you guys came in and picked up the course guides. We have those orientation packets for incoming students, and there's some other resources there. We also have every department, it has a representative, so as you guys are roaming around, there's, if you have questions about, vocational or fine arts or the math department, please stop by. There's teachers there manning those tables, and that's right out here in the Ox Gym. There are a variety of clubs and activities set up, eager to talk to you and talk to about their clubs. It's students mostly, so even if you want to just talk to a student about their experience and what they recommend that's maybe not even related to their club, like, I would highly encourage you guys to go in there and talk to them and get some advice. And so the rest of the evening is kind of, whatever, it's kind of an open forum for you all to kind of get some questions answered. Again, we are out here. I'm going to again encourage you guys to come out Saturday to talk one-on-one. We'll have tours of the campus on Saturday, and so again, it's an open house. So I guess this evening is concluded on here. So thank you.